Well, the supernatural world is filled with all kinds of entities, ranging from werewolves and demons to fairies. Vampires have typically been one of the most popular supernatural monsters depicted in pop culture. While they were first spawned from Bram Stoker's imagination and put onto paper in his novel Dracula, there have been many other iterations of these entities in media, ranging from comics and films to animated series. Today, we've curated a list of the top 10 gore-fueled vampire anime series that you just can't miss. And without further ado, we're going to jump right into it and explore all of these blood-curdling tales. But before we get too deep into things, we do have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Hellsing Ultimate! To kick this list off, we have a 10-episode-long OVA named Hellsing Ultimate, which was first released in 2006. It was based on a manga series by Kota Hirano and directed by Tomokazu Tokoro, and it followed a secret branch of the British government known as the Hellsing Organization. This team was tasked with fighting supernatural threats in order to protect the citizens from terrorizing monsters and other such creatures of the night, and they were led by Sir Integra Hellsing, who had a personal army at her disposal. Even though the Hellsing organization consisted of warriors who had undergone rigorous training, Integra mostly trusted their resident vampire exterminator, Alucard, to deal with these threats. While Alucard was a powerful vampire himself, he often allied with his follower, Ceres Victoria, and Integra's butler to bring down a rival organization that was a part of the Vatican. Hellsing Ultimate is quite a refreshing spin on a typical vampire show, especially since it involves a rogue vampire trying to bring the rest of his kind under control. The show also explores themes of humanity versus animalistic desire as Ceres Victoria undergoes a vampiric transformation and finds herself torn between her vampire urges and her commitment to protecting humanity. Blood Sea! Released in 2011, Blood Sea was a sequel to the 2005 series Blood Plus, but we'll be getting around to exploring the original series a little further down our list. Co-created by Production IG and Clamp, Blood Sea was a 12-episode-long series that followed an outgoing teenage girl named Seiya Kisaragi who works as a shrine maiden in a country town. However, there seems to be a lot more than what meets the eye, and Seiya is revealed to be a skilled swordswoman whose father tasks her with the responsibility of defeating the Elder Barons. These characters seem to be inspired by age-old vampires, as well as the great old ones from Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos, and the Elder Barons terrorize the locals by feeding on human blood. While Seiya is dedicated to fighting the Elder Barons, her story arc soon unravels as the people around her fall victim to these monsters, while she notices some cracks in her reality. In almost no time, Seiya's journey takes a turn as she discovers some disturbing truths about herself as well as her friends, and we eventually learn that she is an Elder Baron herself. However, she was abandoned by them and raised by humans who viewed her as an experiment to see whether her nature could be altered. As far as typical vampire anime goes, Blood Sea comes across as an interesting thought experiment on nature versus nurture as we dissect Seiya's actions, try to figure out whether her heritage might interfere with her duty to hunt Elder Barons. Shiki! Adapted from Fuyumi Ono's novel series, Shiki is a 22-episode-long anime that premiered on Fuji TV, Tokai TV, and Kansai TV in 2010. It takes place in a small Japanese town named Sotoba, where a bunch of mysterious deaths start to raise eyebrows. Moreover, these deaths seem to coincide with the arrival of the Kirishiki family, who had recently settled down in a castle constructed right on the outskirts of Sotoba. While the town hospital's director, Toshio Ozaki, starts looking into the cause of deaths, he soon discovers supernatural forces such as Shiki, which loosely translates to vampires or corpse demons. The show takes quite an interesting premise, as each episode title is a homophone pronunciation for Japanese numerals, which produces phrases related to the deterioration of the physical body. In this way, the title in itself hints at the deaths and attacks that soon take the town by storm, and a local priest named Seishin Moroi also works alongside Ozaki to uncover the secrets of the Shiki. Besides being a gripping tale of the undead, Shiki was also a huge hit in the thriller genre as the protagonists uncover the town's secrets and put an end to the bizarre deaths. Vampire Hunter D! Bloodlust! Written and directed by Yoshiaki Kawajiri, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust was a 2000 dark fantasy anime film inspired by Hideyuki Kikuchi's famous Vampire Hunter D series. It begins with a young woman named Charlotte Elborn who's kidnapped by a vampire nobleman named Baron Meyer Link, while her father hires D to rescue her at any cost. D is introduced as a Dhampir, or a hybrid between humans and vampires, and he sets out on his mission, while Charlotte's brother also recruits the Marcus brothers to find his sister. hunter. As these two forces collaborate, they soon discover that Charlotte had volunteered to run away with Baron Meyer Link and that she had fallen in love with him. However, this doesn't prevent them from attempting to bring Charlotte back to her family, and the ensuing plotline results in quite a bit of death and destruction, while Charlotte and her beloved vampire nobleman try to find a spot in the City of the Night, a vampire refuge situated in space. While most entries on this list include tales of protagonists trying to eradicate vampires, Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust is quite a refreshing entry, as it includes elements such as romance, drama, and a whole lot of adventure, in addition to the typical bloodbath that shapes the vampire anime genre. Blood, the Last Vampire. Hiroyuki Kitakubo's Blood, the Last Vampire was a 48-minute-long action horror film that premiered at the Fantasia International Film Festival in the year 2000. The story follows a young girl named Seiya in the year 1966 as she hunts down bat-like vampiric monsters known as chiropterans, who were known for gaining strength by feeding on human blood. While the story begins with her killing a suspected chiropteran on the subway, her next mission involves infiltrating a high school next to the American Yokota Air Base to find the chiropteran that had managed to sneak into the airbase. The rest of the film follows her keen attempts at driving the suspect out and eventually defeating it, and we also learn all about Seiya's superhuman strength and abilities, which suggests that she might also be a vampire-human hybrid. Her character also has a lot of help from David, who works for the American government and helps Seiya navigate her way through the army base. This film was also related to the Blood Plus television series, as well as the Blood Sea animated series that we explored earlier in the list, and it was eventually a part of a full-fledged franchise involving many novels, films, and video game releases. Castlevania. Largely inspired by the Japanese video game series by Konami, Castlevania is an American adult dark fantasy anime that was released on Netflix in 2017. Ever since, it's had 4 seasons and 32 episodes, and it has been greatly praised for its visuals, voice acting, animation, and themes. The show was created and written by Warren Ellis, and it adapted the 1989 action platforming game Castlevania III: Dracula's Curse for the first couple of seasons. It followed vampire Vlad Dracula Tepes as he swore vengeance on the people of Wallachia, who had accused his human wife of witchcraft and burned her at the stake. Soon enough, the vampire summons an army of demons that bring nothing but chaos, death, and destruction to Wallachia, and they end up killing most of the population. We are then introduced to Trevor Belmont, the surviving member of a family of monster hunters who steps up to defeat Dracula's forces with some help from Dracula's hybrid son Alucard and magician Sypha Belnades. Even though Castlevania was a little low on the list, there's no doubt that it's one of the best executed vampire animes of all time, and it was such a hit that Netflix even released a follow-up series called Castlevania Nocturne, which followed Trevor and Sypha's descendant, Richter Belmont. Devil's Line. Developed by Platinum Vision, Devil's Line was a television miniseries that was adapted from Ryo Hanada's dark fantasy manga by the same name. The anime adaptation released in 2018 and follows half-demon Yuki Anzai's adventures as he works in the Metropolitan Police Department's Public Safety Division. Anzai's half-human and half-vampire origins help him specialize in vampire crimes, and he ends up saving a college student named Tsukasa Taira while investigating a series of vampire murders. These two unlikely characters soon form a bond. They soon realize that their relationship might be a huge danger to Tsukasa Taira, but it's too late for them to part ways. To make matters worse, they end up getting caught up in a conspiracy with the CCC, an organization that's dedicated towards wiping out vampires, while they also try to navigate their relationship and Anzai's attempts to control his bloodlust towards Tsukasa. While Devil's Line is quite a short anime, it does present a gripping tale as Anzai deals with his own internal struggles with respect to love and bloodlust, while also trying to evade the CCC and protect Tsukasa. This show might not be the most critically acclaimed anime on our list, but it surely delivers a whole lot of entertainment against a dark fantasy background. Blood Plus. Produced by Production IG and Aniplex, Blood Plus was originally inspired by the 2000 anime film Blood, the Last Vampire, which we explored just a few minutes ago. The show was written and directed by Junichi Fujisaku, and it only had a few references to the original film while also creating a whole new world of its own. It eventually went on for over 50 episodes between 2005 and 6 and is considered to be quite the classic in the horror fantasy genre. Just like the film, the show follows our protagonist, Seiya Otonashi, who currently lives with her adoptive family in Okinawa City near the U.S. Kadena Air Base. Even though Seiya leads a somewhat happy life despite her anemia and amnesia, her life does a complete 180-degree turn when she's attacked by the bat-like chiropterans that feed off of human blood. However, the monster's body ends up crystallizing and shattering upon feeding on Seiya's blood, which leads her to realize that she has the ability to defeat them. In no time, she embarks on an adventure with her Chevalier Haji, as well as other friends and family, and vows to eliminate the chiropterans from the world while also recovering her true identity. While the show starts in Japan, Seiya eventually travels to other parts of the world, including Vietnam, Russia, France, and the US, and her adventures were quite entertaining, even if they were set against a dark fantasy backdrop. Seraph of the End. Helmed by Wit Studios, Seraph of the End was an adaptation of a manga written by Takeya Kagami and illustrated by Yamato Yamamoto. The show was directed by Daisuke Tokuro, and it ran for about 24 episodes between 2015 and 2016. It was set in a post-apocalyptic world where a human-made virus had led to widespread chaos and destruction and eventually wiped out the entire population except all children under 13 years of age. In such dire circumstances, the vampires of the world soon made their presence known, and other mythical tales suggested that their appearance would soon be followed by other supernatural entities. In such a world, our story focuses on an orphan boy named Yuichiro Kayakuya who joins the military in a desperate attempt to avenge his family and save his best friend Michaela, who's fallen prey to the vampires. Seraph of the End is quite an interesting spin on a classic heroic journey against supernatural entities, as it takes place in a world where humanity's survival lies on the shoulders of a young kid. It's got an interesting premise, and it's most definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of the fantasy adventure genre. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure: Phantom Blood. Directed by Junichi Yamamoto, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure: Phantom Blood was a 2007 animated film release inspired by the 1987 manga series developed by Hirohiko Araki. This storyline was also the first main arc of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and it was set in England in the second half of the 1880s. It focused on the Joestar family's heir, Jonathan Joestar, who finds himself in conflict with his adoptive sibling, Dio Brando, over the rights to their family fortune. In fact, Dio doesn't leave a single stone unturned and even transforms himself into a vampire to overpower Jonathan, who then uses this opportunity to learn the sunlight-based martial arts form known as Hamon to confront him. This particular adaptation received a lot of praise for accurately capturing how these two characters undergo a development arc and learn to resolve their problems by stepping up to take responsibilities. It might not be the most classic vampire story of all time, but it's definitely an interesting spin on two siblings' quest for family fortune with just a hint of a supernatural touch to it. Marvelous Verdict. And with that, we've explored some of the most horrifying depictions of vampires in anime, ranging from the monsters in Castlevania and Devil's Lane to the entities in Seraph of the End. We hope you enjoyed watching them with us and got a few recommendations for your next supernatural-themed anime binge, so don't forget to share your favorite picks with us down in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.